Overheard my wife mocking me as ultimate idiot for raising his kids for a decade. But then Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved ones. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. Pak, you ever have your entire reality collapse in a single sentence? That's exactly what happened to me. It was just a normal evening. I got up to grab a glass of water from the kitchen. My wife was in the living room, on the phone with her sister. She didn't hear me coming. She didn't even know I was nearby. I wasn't trying to spy. I wasn't even thinking. I was just thirsty. And then I heard it. She was laughing. Not the sweet kind I had fallen in love with, but a cold, sharp laugh I'd never heard before. He's the ultimate idiot, she said. 10 years raising his kids and he still thinks they're his. I froze. My grip tightened around the glass. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Did I hear that right? I wanted to believe I misunderstood. Maybe I took it out of context. Maybe it was a joke. But the way she kept laughing, like it was the funniest thing in the world, made it clear. She meant every word. I didn't know what to do. My legs went weak. I backed away slowly, went upstairs, and sat on the edge of the bed, trying to make sense of what I'd just heard. For 10 years, I had given my all to my family. I stayed up late when the kids were sick. I worked overtime to keep us comfortable. I skipped vacations, gave up hobbies, sacrificed everything just to be a good dad and husband. And now this? I thought about every bedtime story, every scraped knee I kissed, every school project I helped with, all those memories that meant the world to me. Were they even real? She came to bed later like nothing happened. I watched her. She smiled at me, said goodnight, and closed her eyes. How could she lie so easily? How could she look at me every day and hide this? A storm of emotions hit me. Confusion, betrayal, anger, heartbreak. I felt like a fool. But more than that, I felt something shift inside me. A quiet voice in my mind whispered, "Find out the truth." I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying the words over and over. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just planned. If she thought I was an idiot, she was about to find out just how wrong she was. Because from that moment on, I wasn't just her husband. I was a man with one goal: uncover everything. Looking back now, it almost feels like I was living in a movie set. Everything looked perfect on the outside. Smiles for the camera, happy holidays, warm dinners around the table. We had 2 amazing kids. I coached their soccer games, cheered them on at recitals, helped them with homework late into the night. Every photo in our home was a reminder of the life I thought we were building together. Emily always said we were lucky. She told her friends I was the rock of the family. She called me her steady one, the kind of man every woman hopes to marry. And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We rarely fought. We laughed a lot. She even left me sweet notes in my lunch some days, little drawings from the kids, a smiley face, or "love you," written in her loopy handwriting. I took care of the big things and the little things. I changed the oil in her car. I stayed up late fixing a leaky pipe when the kitchen flooded. I worked long hours, often missing out on time for myself, just to make sure she and the kids had everything they needed. That was my role, the dependable one, the silent strength. But now I see it clearly, how easy it was to hide things behind that polished picture. She kept me busy with tasks. She distracted me with affection. She built this image of a happy wife and a loving mother, and I swallowed it whole. I never thought to question where she went when she said she was meeting a friend for lunch or running errands. I trusted her, fully and blindly. That was my biggest mistake. All the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. The odd comments from her sister. The way she brushed off questions about the past. The fact that our youngest never quite looked like me, though I chalked it up to genetics. A nose from her side, different eyes from mine. We laughed it off, and I left it at that. But Emily had been keeping a secret so massive, so carefully protected, that it had wrapped itself around every moment of our marriage. 10 years of lies. 10 years of playing house while carrying a truth she never intended to tell me. That smile I used to love? It wasn't a smile, it was a mask. And behind that mask, a woman I didn't really know. The marriage I thought was perfect? It was a story, a well-rehearsed script. And I was just a character in it. Until I read the script for real, and realized I was never the author. After hearing that phone call, sleep became a stranger. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the heaviness in my chest. My brain wouldn't shut off. It kept dragging me through memory after memory, conversations I hadn't thought about in years. Except now they sounded different, suspicious, off. I remembered how her sister once joked, "You sure those kids are yours?" And Emily's laugh came a second too late, strained and forced. I thought she was just being weird about a bad joke, but now I wasn't so sure. Then there were the paternity jokes at parties, guys messing around, teasing each other about being tricked. Most people laughed. I did. But Emily? She got stiff. changed the subject. One time, she even snapped, saying it was a stupid thing to joke about. I let it go. Why wouldn't I? I had no reason to suspect anything. Back then, I trusted her more than I trusted myself. But now, with her voice still echoing in my mind, the ultimate idiot, I couldn't ignore the doubts anymore. So while she slept peacefully beside me, I got up, walked into my office, and started digging. Not even sure what I was looking for, just chasing a hunch, a feeling that wouldn't leave me alone. I opened the file cabinet where we kept all the old family papers, birth certificates, insurance, tax documents. I scanned through them one by one, trying to find anything that felt off. And then I found it, a folded sheet of paper tucked behind the kids' school record. I almost didn't notice it. No label, no envelope, just a worn edge sticking out. I pulled it out and unfolded it. It was a receipt, a DNA paternity test. My name was listed as the test subject. The date was from 7 years ago, but I had never taken a test. Not once. Not ever. My stomach dropped. I stared at it, reading the words again and again, trying to make sense of it. Why was my name on something I had no memory of doing? Who submitted this? Who gave the samples? Why wasn't I told? I felt sick. Everything I thought was solid started to crack. Doubts that once seemed ridiculous now felt like warnings I had ignored. This wasn't just a mistake. This was proof that something had been hidden from me. For the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the family I was looking at. I closed the drawer slowly, the paper still in my hand. Whatever this was, it was just the beginning. I waited for the right moment. The kids had just left for school. The house was quiet still. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice calm. I walked into the kitchen where she was making coffee and placed the folded receipt on the table in front of her. What is this? She looked down, then up at me. Her face turned pale in an instant. She didn't even try to talk her way out of it. No excuses. No fake confusion. Just silence. For a moment, I thought maybe she would deny it. But she didn't. She sat down slowly and stared at the paper like it was something alive, something dangerous. Then she started talking, quietly at first. Just a few words at a time. She admitted to everything. One of the kids might be mine. The other definitely isn't. She had the DNA test done without telling me. Said she was scared, unsure at the time, and didn't know what to do. She figured if I never found out, it wouldn't matter. Her exact words were, "They love you. You've always been their dad. That's what matters most." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her how long she had planned to keep this from me. She said, forever if I had to. And that was the part that hit hardest. She had been living with the truth for years while letting me live a lie. I asked her who the real father was. She hesitated, said it was someone from before, then admitted she had stayed in contact with him for a while. Not much detail, just enough to know that this wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't a mistake. It was a decision, a long ongoing one. She begged me not to ruin what we had, said the kids would be crushed, told me they'd never understand, that they only knew me as their father. Her voice cracked when she said, "Don't break the family." But I didn't break it. She did. I looked at her, this woman I once trusted with everything, and felt like I was staring at a stranger. I thought about all the years I had given, the birthdays I celebrated, the late nights I stayed up holding little hands during fevers. None of that changed, but now it all carried a weight I never asked to carry. It wasn't just about the kids. It was about the lie she built everything on. And now it was falling apart. I needed answers. Real ones. Not half-truths or carefully crafted apologies. So I did what I had to do. I found a lawyer and then hired a private investigator. It felt strange, like something out of a crime show. But this wasn't TV. This was my life, my family, and I was done being in the dark. The investigator worked fast. Within days, I had more information than I knew what to do with. He gave me a folder, plain, black, heavy. Inside were photos, copies of text messages, hotel receipts. It was all laid out in brutal detail. While I was working long hours, staying late to cover bills and keep things steady at home, she was spending time with someone else. Not once or twice. Regularly. Same hotel, same name on the records, Jake. That name didn't mean anything to me at first. I didn't recognize it, but the investigator had looked deeper. He found out Jake wasn't just some new guy. He wasn't a fling. He was someone from her past. Her ex, the same man she had dated before we got serious. The one she told me was toxic and long gone. Turns out he wasn't gone at all. He was there, just out of sight, playing a role in my life that should have belonged to me. Jake is the biological father. And here's the part that made my blood go cold. He knew. He knew the kids were his. Knew I had no clue. And he let it happen. He watched from the sidelines while I paid for everything, taught them to ride bikes, and tucked them in at night. I was the one at school events, the one staying up with them during storms, the one holding the family together. And he just watched, knowing exactly what was going on. The texts between them were casual, almost friendly, sometimes flirty, other times just updates. He still doesn't know, she wrote in one message. It's easier this way. Easier for who? I felt like a fool, like I'd been performing on a stage, acting out a part that everyone but me knew wasn't real. And they sat in the audience, enjoying the show. That night, I didn't speak a word to her. I just stared at those photos, her smile, his hand on her back, their secret meetings. And I realized this went deeper than betrayal. This was a long, carefully hidden game. And I was done playing. Now it was time to take back control. I knew that if I exploded, she'd win. She'd twist it, say I was unstable or dangerous. So I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I nodded, told her I needed time, said I wanted to work through it. She looked relieved, maybe even a little smug. She had no idea what I was really planning. I pretended to forgive her. I slept in the same bed, ate dinner at the same table, played along with the image of a man trying to hold his family together. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, I was building a case, one that she'd never see coming. I gathered every document I could find, printed copies of text messages, every receipt from the investigator, screenshots of her private messages. In one group chat, she actually joked with her friends about training me to be the perfect stepdad without him knowing. That one hit like a punch to the gut. But I saved it, along with everything else. I dug into our finances, learned more in a week than I had in 10 years of marriage. I found accounts I didn't know existed, credit cards I never used but was still paying off. I printed it all. Then I opened my own bank account in secret, moved my direct deposit, cut off the cash flow. Quietly, one piece at a time, I made sure I wouldn't be left empty-handed when it all fell apart. Next, I met with a custody lawyer. I showed him everything. He was blunt, said the court wouldn't care much about the cheating, but the deception, the financial misuse, and the proof I had? That would matter, especially when it came to the kids. Together, we built a plan. I made copies of every file, stored backups online, and on a flash drive hidden in my car. I didn't leave a single piece of evidence out. I wanted it airtight. No surprises. And then, I dropped the hammer. She came home to a letter on the kitchen counter. Divorce papers. Legal notice. Custody petition. Every document signed, filed, and delivered. She walked in expecting dinner. She got served. The look on her face was everything. Not shock, panic. She realized, in that moment, that I hadn't just found out. I had prepared. Every lie she built, every step she took behind my back. I was 3 steps ahead. And now the game was mine. The backyard was full. Balloons swayed in the breeze. Laughter echoed. Kids ran around with icing on their faces. It was the kind of scene people post on social media to show off the perfect life. The sun was shining. The music was soft. Everyone was smiling. It was the twins' birthday. They had just turned 9. Family flew in. Friends came early. Emily looked like the proud mother, making sure everything was perfect. I played the part too. Smiled. Handed out plates. Took photos. No one had any idea what was coming. When it came time for the cake, everyone gathered near the table. Phones were out. Emily lit the candles. The kids beamed. After they made their wish and the clapping died down, I raised my glass. Before we eat, I said, I want to say a few words. Everyone quieted. Emily turned to me, smiling. She thought it was going to be a sweet speech. A thank you. Maybe a joke. Instead, I spoke slowly and clearly. I just want to thank all of you for being here today. It means a lot. Especially because this birthday is the last one I'll be celebrating as their dad. Confused looks. Emily's smile dropped. I kept going. I recently found out that I've been raising another man's children for the past 10 years. And the person who helped hide that truth was standing beside me this whole time. Gasps filled the space. People looked from me to her, unsure of what they'd heard. But don't worry, I said calmly. Emily knew. And so did Jake. The silence was deafening. Emily's hands were shaking. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her mother looked horrified. Her sister looked away. Jake wasn't there, but I made sure his name was heard. Emily turned and walked inside. No yelling, no excuses, just ran, like someone who knew the truth had finally caught up. I set my glass down and picked up a slice of cake. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" I nodded. Yes, it was. I didn't do it to be cruel. I did it to stop pretending. For too long, I played along, thinking I was protecting something worth saving. But that day, I stopped hiding. The truth needed to come out. And now it had. After the party, everything changed. Emily tried to call me that night. Then she texted. Then she showed up crying at my doorstep. She begged me to forgive her, said she made a mistake, that she was scared. She kept repeating how none of it was meant to hurt me, like that somehow erased what she did. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just stood there and told her, it's too late. And it was. Her family didn't take it well. Her mother called me heartless. Her sister messaged me saying I should have handled it in private, and that I'd traumatized everyone. But I wasn't the one who lied for a decade. I wasn't the one who built a life on secrets. I was just the one who finally exposed it. The courts, however, saw things differently. The DNA results were clear. One child was biologically mine, the other wasn't. I didn't fight for full custody. I just asked for what was fair. 50-50 custody of my child. No responsibility for the one who wasn't mine. And the judge agreed. No child support, no ties to the lie. I moved out of the house soon after, sold my share, and took my half of the money. It wasn't about revenge. I just wanted to be done. Explaining it to the kids was the hardest part. I didn't go into every detail. I kept it simple, honest but gentle. I told them families sometimes change, but I'd always be there. I told my child the truth in a way he could understand, and I made sure he knew none of it was his fault. Emily didn't take it well. She went online, posting long messages about betrayal and heartbreak. She made herself the victim, talked about how her marriage ended suddenly, and how the father of her children turned cold overnight. People started messaging me, asking what really happened. So I posted the truth. Screenshots. Dates. Her own words. Not out of spite, but because I wasn't going to let her rewrite the story. She deleted her posts. Then she went quiet. Even some of her own friends stopped speaking to her. Her sister blocked me, but not before I noticed she also unfollowed Emily. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel proud. I felt tired but free. The fallout was messy, yes, but it cleared the path. Now, I could finally start building something real. Something honest. And I wasn't looking back. 6 months had passed. Life was finally settling into something that resembled peace. I had my new place, a steady routine with my kid, and a quiet mind for the first time in years. The worst was behind me, or so I thought. Then I got the message. It was from Jake. We need to talk. I stared at the screen for a while. My first instinct was to ignore it. What could he possibly say that I'd want to hear? He was part of the mess. Part of the reason my world flipped upside down. But curiosity got the better of me. We met at a quiet diner just outside town. He looked just as nervous as I felt. No fake confidence, no smugness. Just a tired guy who seemed like he had something heavy to get off his chest. I didn't know, he said. I didn't respond. I knew the kids were mine. She told me. But she also said you knew. Said you were okay with it. That you two had some kind of open thing. That you were just staying married for the kids. I stared at him, my mind turning over his words. He pulled out his phone and showed me screenshots of their old conversations. I read through them slowly. In one, she told him I was weak but useful. In another, she said, neither of you were ever meant to stay in the picture. Just different tools for different jobs. Tools. Not people. Not fathers. Tools. Jake leaned back in his chair. I never wanted custody. I never pushed to be involved. I thought you were good with it. Thought the kids had a father. I stayed away because I didn't want to mess that up. He paused, then added. But I see now she played us both. And just like that, everything fell into place. Emily had never loved either of us. Not really. Not fully. She didn't care about honesty, trust, or loyalty. She cared about control. About keeping the power in her hands. And she'd done it well for years. We were just roles in her story. And when those roles stopped serving her, she rewrote the script. I left that diner with a strange sense of calm. Not closure, but clarity. Jake wasn't my enemy. He was another victim of her lies. And now, for the first time, we both saw her for who she really was. Not a heartbroken wife. Not a loving mother. But a master manipulator who thought no one would ever catch on. She was wrong. Jake and I didn't become friends, but we had one thing in common. We wanted to fix what she broke. With his statement and the evidence I already had, I filed to remove my name from the birth certificate of the child who wasn't mine. It wasn't easy. It took lawyers, court hearings, and weeks of waiting. But finally, the judge ruled in my favor. I was no longer legally tied to the child she used to trap me. It hurt, yes, but I knew it was the right thing. That child deserved the truth too, even if they wouldn't understand it now. One day, maybe they would. More importantly, I got full custody of my son. No shared time. No interference. Just me and him, building a life based on honesty. The look on her face in that courtroom, when the ruling came down, was the first time I saw true panic. She had lost her grip, and she knew it. Emily lost the house shortly after. Without my income, she couldn't keep up with payments. The lie that held everything together was gone, and the rest started crumbling fast. Friends stopped calling. Family grew distant. She tried posting more online, reaching for sympathy, but no one was buying the act anymore. I changed jobs a month later, took a remote position and packed up what little I needed. My son and I moved out of state. No goodbye party. No fanfare. Just a clean break from everything that reminded me of the past. We started over. New school, new place, new life. I focused on being the father he deserved. And with every quiet evening, every laugh, every bedtime story, I felt a little stronger. Still, I had one last thing to do. On her birthday, I sent a message. Just one sentence. Thanks for the decade. I finally figured out who the real idiot was. And it wasn't me. No reply. She didn't have one. And that silence said everything. That chapter of my life is closed now. I don't live in bitterness. I don't carry hate. But I remember. I learned. Some people lie with smiles. Some build entire lives on deception. But truth has a way of finding light. And when it finally does, nothing can stop it.